Hi Jessica, I hope this video finds you well. I'm good myself. This video is for the presentation of my term research paper, the topic of which was 2010 to 2017 Toronto serial homicides. A brief introduction of this criminal event. So these were the murders that took place over the span of 8 years. In total of 8 men, they disappeared from the gay village of Ontario, Toronto. So these men, they disappeared without any notice to their friends or families. The community itself was in shock and fear. They were talking about the presence of a serial killer among the community, but their claims were never really taken seriously. Moving on to the criminological parts, elements of this incident. Precursors. In precursor, I'll talk about the offender, his motivation, victim, his relationship to the victims, his assessment of deterrence. The offender was Bruce MacArthur, a 66-year-old at the time of his arrest. He was a self-employed landscaper, and he was an active part of the gay community. His motivations were not really personal against any of those victims. He although had a previous relationship with two of his victims, but his motivations were actually looking for sexual gratification and fulfillment of his sexual fantasies. The victims, they ranged from age 37 to 56. They were all male, and all of them disappeared without any notice to their friends or family. His assessment of deterrence was that nobody would ever look at him as a threat, as he was an elderly person almost at the age of 60 when he started killing these people. And he just thought that everybody would not look at him as a threat and he would just fly under the radar. The next part of the criminal event is transaction. So the transaction is the actual criminal act. So Bruce MacArthur, he lured his victims to discreet places and usually inviting them to perform his sexual fantasies. And he would sometimes use duct tapes and other equipment tools to immobilize, and even drugs, immobilize his victims. And then he would go on to killing them. And his sexual fantasy was to dress them up in a fur coat, and after that he would proceed to take pictures and then dismember the bodies to get rid of the evidence. The aftermath of this event is that the whole community was shocked when police finally captured Bruce MacArthur, and he was actually captured while attempting his ninth murder. After this, Bruce MacArthur was sentenced to 25 years to prison without any possibility of parole. At his age, that would mean there's very less likelihood of him getting out of jail alive. The community itself was very enraged at the response which they had gotten over the years from the Toronto PD. Result of that, they even blocked the Toronto Police Department from joining the Pride 2019. As for the criminal theory that applies to this event, the general theory of crime would fit perfectly according to me in this scenario, because this theory, it talks about low self-control, which in this case was really one of the reasons that Bruce kept on killing people, because during the 8 years he was actually at one point looked upon as a suspect, and he was questioned by authorities, but that still did not stop him from committing these murders. The theory was it advocates that there are two parts of a criminal event: crime and criminality. Crime is the act itself, and criminality is the tendency or the behavior to commit those acts. And the one thing that brings them together is a low self control of an individual who is looking for an immediate gratification, may that be gambling, smoking, or sexual in nature. So, according to me, this story would fit on this criminal event. Thank you for your time, and please stay safe and take care.